Welcome everyone. This is the All In FPL show. We are back. I am joined by my two partners in crime as ever. We've got Alex Doyle first. How are you, Alex?
All good, thanks. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. We've just had an in-depth NFL discussion. Josh is going straight to the top. What a team he's drafted.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up for this episode now. I'll tell you after the critique I just got. So yeah, I probably know less about NFL than FPL though. So
yes, stay tuned for the NFL spin-off All In podcast starting in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, as long as you don't listen to Josh's advice, you'll be fine. Anyway, speaking of Joshua Waldridge, the money man, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, thanks, mate. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. Still got my man flu, so I'll be coughing a lot. I need you to pick up the slack today. I'll be very quiet.
It's been going on a while, this one, hasn't
it? I know. Even booked the doctors this morning. So Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll be there trying to get it sorted out. But there you go. First cough already.
Evidence. There we go.
Let me switch it over to Doyle so I can recompose myself. What have we got coming up today, Doyle?
So, as always, we're going to start with the game week wrap up. Where we talk about game week 1 and how we did. Game week 2? Game week 1?
Game week 2, we're in.
Game week 2, yeah, a good start.
Been a long season already for Doyle, clearly.
It has been a long season already. I think I was trying to just erase game week 1 from my memory, to be honest with you. That it doesn't count, right? It's just like the first one's free. Yeah, after that, we're going to talk fire and ice. What players have been hotting up at the start of the season and which ones we think should be left in the freezer. And then we're going to talk hot topic where we're going to look at form versus fixtures, with some key teams sort of seeing a bit of a fixture swing, how we approach their assets, and where we go from there before finally the game week 3 preview. Right, Josh, kick us off with some fire and ice.
JB, which way around am I supposed to do it for the formatting purposes?
Well, we've got to do the game week review.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's first and foremost. I mean, I know some of us had a really bad game week and some have had really good ones. I'd like to skip. This is getting farcical now.
Yeah, game week preview, then we got on start.
Which game week are reviewing? But reviewing one.
You don't know which game week we're reviewing. We've skipped out. You know, he don't know which game week it is. We've missed the review already. What an absolute farce!
I'm still in disarray after the Everton match yesterday. Lads, cut me a bit of slack here. I'm still in mourning.
I'll cut you some slack after the Chelsea game as well. So
okay, well we'll start with the game week review then, and we'll start with the team at the bottom. So, Josh, what's gone wrong?
This is going to be a quick one from my side. I'm sure you two will make it last a bit longer, but from my side, I have got Estupiñán with 11 points and everyone else blanked. I have got Saka and Saliba to play tonight, and that is the joke of a week that I've had.
Yeah. How many did you get from Mbeumo and Mitoma?
I mean, I think we sort of addressed this at the start of the season. There's going to be some brutal swings in these midfield slots. There's so many that are good picks. And Mbeumo's had his 5th penalty of the season already. That's pretty interesting. Mitoma looked absolutely brilliant, and Estupiñán's just like an absolute machine running down the wing. So, yeah, some ridiculous swings on. I mean, Bruno Fernandes could have had 4 attacking returns in the first half. Literally, it was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, Mitoma and Mbeumo were the big winners this week. I think there was a few other like less owned ones like Wissa up front, for example, but Mbeumo and Mitoma, if you had those guys with Estupiñán, you was having a monster week this week. And I just had Estupiñán, unfortunately.
Yeah, normally I think this week most people have either got one or the other, haven't they, in the 6.5 million slot, either Mitoma or Mbeumo. So everyone kind of leveled out in the end. So as long as you had one of them, it was fine, weren't it, Josh?
Yeah, exactly, mate. So I obviously faded the 6.5 million slot because
you got Bruno, who apparently, remember, what was you billing Bruno as at the beginning of the season?
Yeah,
player on the game.
Yeah, it's been an interesting start for him because week 1 he was absolutely pathetic, playing like CDM, just really strange positioning. And then week 2, he looked absolutely electric yesterday. He was really, really good. Like, as in, he was Man United's best attacking threat by absolutely miles on Saturday. So, really interesting one. One bad week, one good week. I still think he's underpriced, and I'm much more confident with him now than I was after week 1. After week 1, I wasn't as confident, but after Saturday's game, I really am confident with him now. Hopefully they get him in the middle of the pitch where he can be in the 10 and just dictate the play, because that's his best position.
It's a good one to talk about a little bit, I guess, in the form of fixtures section, though his fixtures kind of aren't great, his form's crap, but I think United don't want to briefly challenge. I think a lot of people are in our position where I'm saying I've got the double United, and it's an interesting spot for them.
Yeah, definitely. And then everyone else just blanked. Obviously, Maddison's got a slight injury scare, I think. I personally think he'll be okay, but we'll see after the scan today. And then Richarlison and Rashford are both strikers classed as midfielders on the game. So, again, didn't get anything, but I think there'll be some returns there in the future.
Yeah, I think Man United looked quite attacking, didn't they? But I do wonder, I think Tottenham would be quite exposed in a lot of games. So, be interesting whether it was just that matchup or whether it's an ongoing thing. But should we move on to the next team?
Yeah, I think that's myself.
It is indeed.
At least. So, an okay week for me so far, but without any Arsenal attackers, so it could get bad this evening. Got the Captain Salah, his what looks like an assist on the points page, but was apparently a missed penalty and the goal off the back of it. It's a good penalty save, actually.
Can I say you actually capped Kabore, no?
I did cap Kabore, yeah. But for the purpose of the podcast, I'll ignore the bench wanking. Then had Mitoma, who obviously scored that sick goal. Foden was electric, got the assist and the free bonus, and then I brought in Rico Henry as well, who got clean sheets, but the yellow cards for a 5-pointer. Saliba and Johnston to play. Decent-ish week, but could be ruined tonight by the Arsenal boys.
Yeah, Foden looked good, didn't he?
Very good. Yeah, he was running the show when I was watching it. I only caught like the last half hour or so in the first 20 minutes. But he looked really good from what I saw. So
yeah, very
happy to have him.
Okay, should we move on to the top of the pile?
Yeah, this was a good week, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, it didn't really feel like it, to be honest. But looking at a lot of teams, yeah, it probably is, to be fair. It was only because of Saturday and Mbumo, them last 2 goals went in, and then suddenly loads of people jumped above me. But overall, it was really good, yeah. So, like a lot of people, Turner in goal and Estupiñán in defence, and Chilwell with his 1-pointer made it to 60, but got hauled off. I think it's fine. I don't think there was any real reason that he come off. Maybe just tactically give him a rest. I wouldn't panic too much. If you had Chilwell, he's still going to deliver lots.
He looks so good in that game again from a sort of threat perspective. Like he was in the middle of the box the whole game. I really don't mind him at the moment.
All the pre-season, the Liverpool game, he's looked unstoppable. Like he's looks like a really, really good asset.
Yeah.
In defence as well, a bit of a differential. Got Gvardiol. I was pleased to see he started. Stones has got an injury now. I think he's out for a while now. It took a couple of weeks, maybe after the international break. So I'd imagine Gvardiol was pretty nailed now. So pleased with that. They got the clean sheet. That was very handy in the evening kickoff. Rashford, a lot of people obviously got him. He blanked. A little bit worried about Rashford. Purely, not necessarily, I think he will still be fine. I just think the price tag at 9 million when there's so many other options at 6.5, 7, 7.5.
He looked really bad. Like whereas Bruno looked good, but like got unlucky not to return / missed an absolute sitter. I mean, how he missed that header, Bruno?
Yeah,
God knows. But Rashford just looks really poor. He looks off. He just looks a bit off it. He had a few moments, to be fair, a few little tricks, but not the same player he looked sort of middle end of last season.
Yeah, I still think he'll be good, but like we say, when it's
centre forward for United, like it's good, right? He'll start returning.
Yeah, we can get onto him a little bit later. Obviously, Mitoma, unbelievable goal he scored. Really, really good. Salah got his assist. Captaincy this week, I went with Haaland. I didn't really see too much in it. I think, different day could have swung either way. I liked just having Salah as a bit of a differential anyway, even if I didn't captain him. So it was kind of like no matter what happened, I weren't going to be too disappointed. And then Richarlison really did disappoint. I think Richarlison, I'm not too keen on him at the moment. I don't think he's seeing enough of the ball. He's one to keep an eye on, I think. But overall, good week, and I still got Gabriel, and if he plays, and Saka tonight. So, shall we move on?
Yeah, what we're going on to next? We're doing hot topic or fire and ice?
Well, normally fire and ice comes first, but we could do it any order you want. It's up to you, Joshua. And surprise.
Fire and ice it is. I don't want to ruin your formatting, mate. I know you've spent a lot of time working on the graphics for this, so
well, it doesn't matter. We can insert whichever one we want.
God, technology these days, it's just incredible, isn't it? I just don't understand it at all. Yeah, so fire and ice this week. Let's talk about who you were just talking about, Mo Salah. I think it's an interesting one because I feel like people got him in for week 2, and now I don't know if there's a plan with him or not. Genuinely, I don't know whether you're just going to keep him forever, or whether he's the bank, or whether you were planning to sell him this week, or what's going on. So, yeah, what do you think about Salah, Doyle?
Neutral. I think he's fine as an option. Still looks quite dangerous in games. Still looks relatively central. I'm not super concerned with him. I think like if there was other premium assets that I can move him to, I'd consider it. There's nothing really you can do with your money at the moment. You don't really want to be spending your budget. Like we talked about the 6.5 mids, and I think we touched on this before the season started. How those 6.5 mids are as good, if not better. I think we all thought than a lot of the sort of 8 million assets, people in that range. And I think that's sort of showing now in Bumo and Mitoma particularly, showing signs as they to play tonight, as they look really lively game week 1. So I think it's really difficult to sort of spend your budget at the moment. So I'm not really, and I think Salah is still better than the people in those in those lower ranges, despite being overpriced for what he is potentially at the moment. So I'm pretty happy to hold him for now.
Yeah,
JJ, what do you think?
I'd echo exactly what you said when you picked up on the point that there's no other premiums you really want at the moment. So I think Salah's as good at playing the game as anybody. If everyone was equally priced, obviously one of the very, very best. Can be an explosive player and deliver lots of points. If there was a Kane up front, for instance, maybe you'd want to get out and jump on fixtures for another premium, someone like that. But I think for the time being, more than happy to keep him. Whoever Liverpool played going forward, they're such an attacking threat. I wouldn't be looking to sell him in my team anytime yet. I think if you don't have him, obviously very hard to get because he's 12.5 million. So I wouldn't go ripping my team up for him if you haven't started with him. So yeah, I'm very content with him. If it's fire and ice, yeah, leaning towards fire for me.
Doyle, you fire as well?
Yeah, one of those fires that's just starting out. It's not there yet.
Yeah. I think he's one of the clearest don't buy, don't sells I've seen in quite a long time.
Yeah, if I had 2 transfers, I wouldn't be using one of them to get him in and then use the other and have to use the other one to be able to afford him at all. It's not worth 2 transfers, I don't think.
Quick straw poll right now. If you were wildcarding right now, would you have Salah on your wildcard?
I would, yeah.
Yes.
Because I don't think you can get a lot of cheap players at the moment, especially in midfield, and that can allow you that spot with Salah.
I think we'll see how Arsenal do tonight, right? I think they're a big one on this because they are that sort of middle bracket, right? That upper middle tier where you could have like 2 of Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Havertz. Maybe not Havertz, but 2 of those 3. And it's tough to do that with Salah. So I guess we'll see how they do.
I wouldn't have him on wildcard, but I understand like if you've got him, you're not gonna be selling him anytime soon. I don't think just because of how the structure's been, how you've already structured your team in that way, where you've got the 6.5 slot or 2 of them even. You've got the likes of a Richarlison or something like that. So you're just going to be sticking with that for a bit. And there's so many options that you can get in those 6.5, 7.5 slots that you're just going to be sticking with it. I think so. I totally understand.
I kind of feel like because we at the moment everyone's having 5 midfielders because there's such good value and they're all delivering. I think if you had the 5 midfielders across the whole of the season, you picked any 5 you wanted, I'm pretty confident Salah's going to be at the top. He's going to get the most points. And I think if you have the likes of a Mitoma, a Maddison, and Mbumo, the cheaper ones, even Eze or someone like that, that allows you to get to Salah. And I don't think having 5, 8.5 or £8 million midfielders is going to be beneficial for you. I feel like you'll end up getting more points if you have Salah, and then you can captain Salah in the odd game when he's got the easy opposition. But
I agree.
That's what I think. Because there's enough money to go around at the moment, and the cheaper assets are good. That's basically my point.
Yeah, I mean, the captaincy thing's, it's tough because I think it's going to be a rare captaincy.
I say that I captained Haaland this week, and Salah had Bournemouth at home, so I can't.
You won't be captaining at all, mate. You've proved that you won't be captaining at all. So let's get past that. I think Bruno Fernandes and Saka beat the 6.5s comfortably by the end of the season. They're better. So I think that is enough reason to not go with Salah because there's no captaincy there. If there's a captaincy there, I think it swings it towards that. But for now, I'm happy to keep experimenting with my Rashford Saka Bruno and see what happens, and obviously Maddison as well.
Yeah, but I've still got Saka and Rashford anyway, so it's like I'm kind of doing that anyway.
Yeah, you have, but we need to come on to the second player now because this is a real problem. João Pedro. This is the joke that we've all it's like the 5.5 striker slot is now a difficult one, I think, because he's proven that he's not nailed. So we've come across it a bit too early, I think. But have you got any plans with him, Doyle?
I don't know who you're on about. He's not in my team anymore, I'll tell you that.
Oh, he's gone already, has he?
He's long gone. He was transferred out at 11:59 on Saturday night, mate.
Who are you on about? That's funny. Yeah, so you've sort of seen this first example and you're done with him now, are you?
Yeah. You can't help them now. It's I don't think personally. It's just I don't want him coming on pointers every week and yeah.
Sorry, JB, I forgot why you've got Saka, Rashford, and because you've got 2 non-playing strikers, I remember now. So that's even funnier than João Pedro. Sorry, I was wondering how you could afford it, but I've come to grips with it now. Yeah. So
you think I was putting a sly one on you,
No, I knew you had those players. I was just like, he's beat me here. I was like, he's absolutely destroyed me, to be honest. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh no, that's what's happened. I remember now. So yeah. I'm feeling more confident now all of a sudden again. My super striker Nicholas Jackson is crushing your 4.5.
Yeah, exactly. I might have more points from the sub appearances from Archer or someone like that. I ain't even checked because Jackson's been booked a couple of times, hasn't he?
Oh no, Archie got a 0 yesterday. He got booked, mate. So he was a big fat 0. João Pedro did that with Doyle as well. Actually, it was quite a feature of the weekend. That was sub on, get booked, go off.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I loved that. It made me quite happy, the João Pedro thing, I have to say. I know that's a mean thing to say for all the owners because he had so many, but he got his lucky penalty in week 1 where he miscontrolled the ball and won a penalty. Well done. So they got the 7 points and then they got the 0 this week. It sort of feels like it broke even now, and I'm just happy with that now. So yeah,
I think I do think he's a good player. I did compare him to Wayne Rooney in our season preview video, didn't I? Somehow, I'm not quite sure how I got on that train of thought. But there's just going to be so much rotation all year. Even if he starts, he's going to come off early. Ferguson ain't even had much of a look in yet, and he's a fantastic player. He's unbelievable. And then even Cisco looked really good this week. Obviously, Pedro didn't play. It's just they ain't even started playing in Europe yet. He's just going to disappoint so many people. He might get the odd goal here and there, but you can have these weeks every other week where it's like, oh, he ain't started again, or he's on the bench, and nobody wants to go through the season like that, especially when there's someone else in that price range near enough now at 6 million who I think we could have. I don't know if we're going to touch on it, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. They're going to be the next one we talk about, actually. So João Pedro, he's ice for you, Doyle. He's ice for me. Frozen, cold. However, someone who's the opposite of that, or seems like they are in terms of form anyway, is Wissa. And we're obviously we'll put Mbuemo in the same bracket because I think this is they're sort of like hand in hand at the moment. I think these two guys, they're both getting the returns. They've both got them both weeks now. He's the 6.1. I think you were talking about, JB, right?
Yep, correct. Looks really, really good. I've always liked him. Every time I've seen him play in the last couple of seasons, he always comes on. I don't have no idea of the stats on this, but it always feels like he comes on and he scores. Like, obviously you have Ivan Toney playing there, but he was never getting in ahead of him. But he's always really impressed me every time he's come on. And this season looks really good. Frank's talking him up as well. So I think he's going to be absolutely nailed at the head of that attack. I like him. We've got a couple of fixtures. So
Wissa had the João Pedro bug last year. He just wasn't nailed. That was the problem. He wasn't on anyone's radar last year because he got some goals, some assists. Like I think it was like 13, 12 attacking returns in total, but the minutes just weren't there. So you were losing the appearance points, you know what I mean? And he wasn't scoring every game, but now he's nailed, I think, till Toney comes back. So we've got this period in the first half of the season where this guy's too cheap, I think. Have you considered him, Doyle? Have you got him already?
Yeah, he's in my team. He's in my team.
I knew this. I just knew this rubbish. Yeah, it's just. I think it's a good move with the price changes probably, and yeah, he's almost the same price as João Pedro. So
yeah, I had $1 million in the bank, so I'm losing the 0.1 on by waiting, and so did it straight away Saturday night. Whistle looks really good. Stats are really, really good. 5 shots a game so far. Obviously off a 2-game sample, but that's still pretty good. That's Harry Kane levels of shit. So,
and you had 2 frees as well. You had 2 frees because you rolled.
No, I've used both free transfers to bring in Brentford players so far this season.
Oh right, okay. So the
fixtures are brilliant. So my point stands there. So I'm happy with this. Goal. You're planning ahead a little bit at least, maybe by fortune, but still.
I thought, didn't we named last week's video "Roll the Transfer"?
I did warn that.
Yeah.
And he missed James to Chilwell as well. Like you missed it by 0-1, didn't you? Which you got away with massively, to be fair.
Yeah, see, I gained 4 points. I'm missing that. You see,
might struggle against Luton on Friday.
What's that say?
You might struggle on Friday against Luton at home with Chilwell.
Oh, I don't think so, mate. Luton are elite. Compared to that crap team I saw yesterday play, mate, they're absolutely better than.
Fair play, no, yeah.
Luton have got 11 men on them on Friday, JB. Not just 10, so it might be tougher, I think.
Yeah, not looking good.
That Caicedo debut is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Like all the memes about it. It's obviously massive overreaction, but it is really funny.
They could have had James Ward-Prowse for 30 million. He's incredible. Just runs the games every single time he plays. Absolute hero.
No comment.
My last one I've got on the list is not related to any of this, unfortunately. I wish it was. Ollie Watkins. I think it's an interesting one. He's got 2 assists so far, 1 each game. So he has returned both games. Villa look amazing going forward, to be honest. But I think people are getting...
I think we did a good job of making them look amazing, mate.
Yeah.
I think Keane falling over himself for most of the goals. Even Tarko had a bad game. Patterson's a joke. Ashley Young's 50 years old and has forgotten how to throw the ball now. He's you think like he's a 38-year-old professional. Like how is he the one making the mistake? He can't even throw the ball to a player anymore. It's just infectious. They come to Everton and it's just the chaos takes over them.
You're not a big Ollie Watkins fan, then, Doyle?
No, I think it's a great pick. He should have scored at least 1 or 2 yesterday as well. I think he missed at least 1 open goal, probably more. I'm trying to sort of block it from my memory, but I think he's a pretty good pick still.
Yeah, their fixtures aren't immediately great, but the long term, like I think it's like week 9, 10, 11, 12, like they're just like got the best 4 fixtures they can possibly have, I think. So if I was on a wild card, for example, I think I'd be tempted by him, I have to say still. Or get Jackson and have a plan to get to Watkins, you know what I mean? I think there's quite a nice fixture crossover there, like Chelsea to Villa. I think that looks really good. So that might be a nice choice, like jumping from a João Pedro to a Jackson and then getting Watkins in a few weeks. But what would you do if you had Watkins, JB?
Yeah, I like him. I keep him. From what I hear, a lot of people saying they want to sell him this week, but don't really see why, to be honest. The first game they got blown away by Newcastle, which is fair enough. But Newcastle were so up for it that day. First game, St James's, opening day of the season. But Villa had last season looked really, really good. And I think we saw it yesterday as well. They sort of did to Everton what Newcastle did to them. And they look really, really good. Attacking wise, superb. He's got 2 assists as well now, Watkins, right?
Yeah, 2 in 2 games, yeah.
He's returned in both games. We know he scores. He went on a 13-game scoring run last year or something. So I wouldn't be looking to sell at all. I think if I had him, I'd be more than happy with how he's played so far and the prospects of Aston Villa. And like you said, the fixture run comes. He's more of a long-term hold with the fixtures, but I think
good fixtures now though as well. I like the immediate fixtures. He got Burnley away, that's a great fixture. Liverpool away, great fixture. Palace at home, decent fixture. Chelsea away, great fixture. By the looks of it at the moment, maybe they tighten up, but currently looks a good fixture. I wouldn't be too concerned about that one. You know what you get in Ollie Watkins, well, right? He's a consistent ticker. Like he's gonna just tick along throughout these games. So.
And he does get a lot of assists as well. And I think in the last 2 games where he ain't scored, he's still got the assists. So and he's gonna score as well. So yeah, fire for me, I think.
Yeah, if you've got him, I'd keep him. If you're buying now, I'd probably, as I said, go Jackson. I think for the fixture upside, they're just so good. Their fixtures are there. They've got like the 3 nut fixtures in the next 3 games. So I think he will start. So he's done enough for me to see him for the next 3, for me to want him for the next 3. But after that, I'd be moving straight to Watkins once the Chelsea fixtures end. Which, to be fair, they go on for quite a bit. But once, like, you see Jackson not looking good or getting subbed off would be another factor. Or, to be fair, in 3 games, he'll be banned anyway after his 5th yellow card. So, yeah, I'd move to Watkins as, like, my next one because Watkins will sort you out till Christmas, I think, almost, with their fixtures from week 9 or week 10. They're just amazing. So, yeah, Ollie Watkins is, he's my kind of player. He gets 90 minutes usually.
Yeah,
assists, goals, just does everything. Yeah, and he's got better year on year as well, and I think he'll get better again this year. So
I don't think I'd go out my way to use a transfer on him unless I have 2 and I was completely going to burn one. Because, like you said, the way, especially me and you, the way we play, we like a bit of value for money. And I think Wissa and Jackson at the moment are probably ahead of him at 6 and 7 million, as opposed to Ollie. But still, if you got him, no trouble at all. I really like him.
Calvert-Lewin.
Moving on.
Yeah, I mean that's not making. Can we cut that out, JB? So
yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, that'll be sorted in the editing suite.
Dan Duma's in now, isn't he? He's the new one, isn't he?
He actually looked all right I only watched about 10 minutes of the game after he came on. Actually, I turned it off for about 55 minutes with no point. But Calvert-Lewin just unbelievable in terms of just I've never seen someone so unlucky of injuries. It's like he comes back finally, breaks his cheekbone. It's like.
Yeah, it looked quite bad as well when he's going off, to be fair.
Yeah, because that's not just one of the leg ankle injuries you associate with someone who just gets chronically injured. Like he's just like his face, he's got face injury. It's just like bad one.
Anyway, let's move on to Form V fixtures, I guess, right? Hot topic.
Yeah, hot topic, Form V fixtures. I've got a few examples of teams that got no form, but in terms of the players' returns and good fixtures. And then I've got an example of a team who've got awesome form, but quite bad fixtures. So let's start with the 2 we talked about earlier, Rashford and Bruno for Man United. Man United have been very underwhelming in the first 2 games, haven't they? I think that's an understatement, right? Yeah,
they've not looked great. Spurs, I thought they looked all right going forward, and then they just sort of, well, the first half particularly, and then it seemed like they just sort of collapsed for the last half an hour or so. They just didn't know what to do. They didn't seem to be able to figure out how to move the ball all of a sudden. But I thought Bruno looked great in the first half particularly. Should have scored. Created God knows how many chances as well. So he could have been on for a monster haul in that game, to be honest with you. But wasn't to be. Rashford as well didn't look good, but that centre forward role's tasty, right? So I'm personally tempted to, but I will be seeing it through. JB, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been a bit underwhelmed as well so far. They don't look like they've hit their full stride yet. Wolves so unlucky not to get anything from them in the first game, and then against Tottenham, it's an open game, and they did have a lot of chances. To be fair, a different day, different bounce of the ball. It could have gone the other way, but
that game could have gone either way very easily based on
I do agree with that. But there's just something there at the moment where they haven't started that well, whereas other teams have been absolutely flying. And I mentioned it already, but you look at Brighton and Brentford, and their confidence is so high at the moment. Like a 3-0 win and a 2-4-1 wins was it for Brighton. When you've got them other options in midfield and you're spending 9 million and 8.5 million on the Man United assets, I just think there's better value for money at the moment with better form players.
I think there is that query though as to whether you need the value right.
Exactly. It's how you if you are going to do it, you need a plan in place of how you're going to spend the money and how you can upgrade the rest of your team.
For me, it's like United assets versus Arsenal assets, really. And that would be based on tonight, how Arsenal look, because at the moment, I'm thinking Bruno looks great, like in terms of where his positioning is. Rashford, okay, he's not been great so far, but he's playing centre forward. That's great. So I'm not that keen to move. But then if Arsenal turn up tonight and absolutely rip Palace apart, Martinelli looks great, Saka looks great, I'll be very tempted then to sort of start having moves.
The most fun thing is as well, when you'll be making that transfer, Man United play Arsenal that week. So, like, for in week 4, yeah. So it's like, you can't really say one team's got a better fixture than the other there, because I feel like that's quite even. I mean, obviously home advantage and stuff, but both teams have got...
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested to see Arsenal tonight. I don't think they look good in week 1.
I thought they looked all right going forward, and they just sort of kind of collapsed at the back a little bit.
Yeah, I think it could be an interesting game tonight, but we'll see.
Is it at Palace tonight? Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, my feeling is that I thought Rashford in the first game against Wolves, I think he had 3 good chances. Like, I think he looked all right in the first game, honestly.
He looked direct as well. Every time he got the ball, he looked like he was confident.
Yeah, Bruno was terrible in the first game. So deep, just looked like as in played a good game as a footballer, but not for fantasy purposes.
He did that last year though quite a lot. Like quite a few games, he'd start dropping deep, and then the next game he'd be more full. You do get that with Bruno. He has those games, but he does always have the sort of penalties and the set pieces, right, as a way to points even when he's in that position. So I think there's a lot of avenues to points with him, which is what I like.
The set pieces are getting less and less now, other than the penalties, I would say. They've got a lot of takers now, is the problem. Shaw was taking a lot of stuff. Mason Mount was taking almost all the corners. But in the first game, I watched the Wolves game, I watched every set piece, and he took a lot of them.
I felt like actually Bruno was on the sort of edge of the box, wasn't he? A lot. He was sort of the man they were passing to from the corner. They were going there quite a bit, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, my thought, to be honest, my overwhelming thought is that I don't think Mason Mount's going to be starting for long term. I really don't think he's going to be starting for this team. I think Bruno needs to play in the 10, and I think they need Casemiro with a proper central midfielder next to him. So
I wonder if they stick him right wing or something. He played for Chelsea for a bit. He played right wing for Chelsea.
He played on the wing, left wing, wasn't it? Left wing, right?
Yeah, he can play anywhere, really, to be honest. Not because he's a Ballon d'Or player and I love him, but he is very versatile, and he's so much energy. He'll press everywhere, and he's brilliant passer of the ball, tackler. I mean, what more do you want?
I don't see much from Anthony personally.
Yeah, this was my thought. As long as Mason Mount's out the way, I don't mind. If he's on, I want Bruno in the number 10 position where he can influence the whole game, basically.
With Casemiro and Fred or McTominay behind. So a lot of people are commenting at the moment, and I wasn't paying attention to say, but they're saying that Casemiro can't do that role on his own. He needs more support there. So
yeah, even Eriksen there looked good last season. Just someone else who's there, another person like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be super defensive. To be fair, McTominay and Fred aren't super defensive. They're like CMs, aren't they? But yeah, I think just someone else. Maybe they don't sell McTominay now because Wolves open them up anything in that midfield. And I think Tottenham did the same, to be honest, on Saturday. Like Wolves, just like that Cunha just ran about 5 times, didn't he? Like, and as if there wasn't a midfield there. It was just absolutely insane. So, yeah, I hope Bruno's in the 10, and I hope there's some protection behind him. Just move Mason Mount out to the right or out to the bench. I don't mind. Yeah.
So you'd be looking to keep him overall?
I'm definitely keeping them for week 3, the Forest game. They need to be given that. I think it's too good of a fixture on its own. Week 4 is an interesting one with Arsenal. I wouldn't rule out selling one of them in that fixture, but I might just keep both at the same time. It depends how they're looking week 3, I think, for me. But yeah, with so many options in midfield, you can't stick with passengers forever. Like if they blank 5 games in a row, you can't keep holding them. You know what I mean? Even if you think the returns are coming. I think you had this with Son last year, didn't you, Doyle?
I was literally just about to say that. It's like, I don't think that's true. I managed to hold Son for about 20 weeks last week and he didn't return once. So.
And you still missed the hat trick. That was a like free hit week, wasn't it? Free hit.
It was free hit week. Yeah.
Yeah, held him for weeks 1 to 20, got no returns, and he got a hat trick when you free hit it.
Off the bench. Was it off the bench? So I feel like it was off the bench. He scored a hat trick or something insane.
It was something ridiculous, yeah.
I think
it was off the bench, yeah.
Because yeah.
Leicester. It was against Leicester. When Danny Ward chucked 3 of them in the goal. It was amazing. Oh.
Anyway, let's move on to another team, shall we?
Yeah, Tottenham's the other one. So Tottenham looked good on Saturday, but obviously Richarlison. Yeah, I mean they beat.
Going forward, I don't think they look that good, really. Like I thought both the 2 main assets, Maddison and Richarlison, were both a bit underwhelming for me. I thought Maddison was a lot worse than he looked in the first game, which kind of makes sense in a more counter-attacking game, I guess. But he didn't look as central to everything to me. And Richarlison, like you said earlier, JB looked quite peripheral to me. Though there were quite a few occasions where I feel like if the ball had rebounded the right way, he was there to tap it in. It never quite fell to him. But wasn't as good a performance, I thought, from the Spurs attacking assets. Minus Son, actually, and Kulusevski, they both looked a lot better, which makes sense, I guess, in a more counter-attacking game. But yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, I wanted to like make it clear that Tottenham are doing fine. They've got 4 points, but yeah, I think the assets have been underwhelming. I agree with you. I'm glad you said that because I completely agree with that. Maddison was unbelievable in week 1 to the point where people were ripping up their teams to get him in, or like had pre-planned the week 3 transfer to get him in, for example. Yeah, I mean, he was great. I understand why. He got 2 assists, unbelievable. Need to keep an eye on the scan, as I said before, but again, my attitude's the same. I've got both Maddison and Richarlison. I don't know how I've got this stupid team that I've got, but I've got it anyway. I'm giving them the Bournemouth game. It's too good of a fixture again. I think I'm not going to sell them for that game. So, yeah, they get that one. And annoyingly, Spurs' fixtures are really good in 4, 5, 6 as well. They've sort of got a 3, 4, 5, 6 really nice little run. So I think I'm probably going to just stick with them because I thought they were good at the start, and I think Richarlison's been in the right positions, and Maddison's just looked good, quite good. So I think I'm going to be sticking with these ones just because of the fixtures are better. You've got Maddison, haven't you, JB?
No.
Richarlison. You got Richarlison, sorry.
Yeah, and I really like Maddison. I think he's looking like the cog in the middle of the park who's just pulling the strings almost, threading the balls through. He's on set pieces. I really, really like him. Obviously, he went off. Well, we didn't go off, but after the game, he was spotted with a protective boot on. So not looking great for him. No one really knows the extent of the injury. He's getting a scan today. So even if they say he's okay, I'd still be a little bit worried about this week, whether he still needs a bit of a rest or a bit of recovery. So I was looking to bring him in with my 2 frees. But now I'm probably going to hold fire on him. I don't think I'll do that move, but I think long term, I just like Tottenham going forward this year. I think they're going to be really good. I think he's going to be the main man at 7.5, quite like that. But yeah, Tottenham looking okay. They have played those, there was away at Brentford who were looking really, really good. And then Man United is not an easy game, obviously. So that's 2 tough games. I think when they get the easier fixtures as well, you might see him open up a little bit more as well. So I am a little bit worried about Richarlison. I think the service into him ain't the best at the moment. I don't know whether it's just the way they're playing, but he don't seem to be getting in behind too much. He's sort of sniffing around the box, and he's covered so much. And yeah, I'm a little bit worried about him, but we'll see how they get on. But overall, Tottenham are fine. I think I wouldn't be desperate to sell, but I think if I was going to get someone, it'd probably be Maddison, if he's after we find out about the extent of the injury.
Next three are great, right? Burnley, Bournemouth, Sheffield. So I think you've got to hold him for that, right?
Yeah, and tactically, by the way, I think something interesting might happen here. I think there's a chance that Son and Richarlison switch round, actually. I think they might put Son centre forward and Richarlison off the left. And I think that's like equally as good for him in a way. I think I think his best position is off the left. Yeah, I think so too. So I think this might be, it's just like a slight, and it might only happen in phases of the game as well, but I think that might happen, and yeah, that might be good for both assets, I think. So yeah.
I think everyone goes a little bit too mad sometimes when someone's playing out of position, they're in the false nine, whatever it is. Because you only have to look at Tottenham, and at the moment, I'd say Maddison's the better asset than Richarlison, and they're both midfielders, but Maddison's playing a lot further back. But Maddison sees more of the ball, he's on more set pieces, he's more involved in everything. So sometimes we get a little bit too swayed by the positioning of players.
The most annoying one about that is when defenders play centre mid, CDM. And like, he's playing a midfielder. Like, that's not good. That's just a bad thing. Like, he's not going forward for corners potentially now. He's not like you're not spraying balls in for assists from CDM. Like, it just doesn't happen. So
is that why you didn't get Chilwell?
No, Chilwell's playing centre forward, mate. He's not playing CDM.
No, he's a left wing.
It's not like Trent playing CDM, playing the fucking Beckenbauer role.
Yeah, when a left back's a striker, that's all right.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Then he Marcus Alonso, Chilwell, I think.
You know what it is, by the way. It's pretty obvious, but I'll say it anyway quickly. Like, it's the psychological aspect, because they're comparing like what Richarlison would score as a striker compared to what he would score as a midfielder. You know what I mean? So they're just seeing the extra clean sheet point and the extra point for a goal, and it's just like, oh, he should be this. So instead, I'm getting these 3 points on top of that. You know what I mean? But those 3 points what they should be doing is comparing it directly with Maddison, as you say, rather than comparing Richarlison to his fake self, you know what I mean, as like a different position sort of thing.
It can be really good as well, right? Because he should get more touches in the box. He should get all those sort of things. He's just not at the moment, though. It just depends on the situation.
But in the two cases, in the Rashford and Richarlison cases, I think both players are actually better off the left. Yeah. I think that's 2 out of 2, so they get the extra touches in the box, but they're just worse at that position. So it's really like, it's a fun trade-off, isn't it, really? So I think basically, even if we did see Rashford or Richarlison going off the left, I'd probably still be tempted to keep, just because I think they're really good in that position as well.
Yeah, they're not quite as good as like the main target man playing with a ball into the feet, backs to goal, are they? They're better running at players and using their pace. And
Richarlison is good in the air, though. So
he's just elite, isn't he? He's just absolutely class, isn't he? Like, I just think he starts up front for Brazil, for God's sake. He's obviously brilliant, but like, yeah. Then again, Paqueta plays for them as well, and he's not had a good week, I would say. So yeah,
great football. He played. Paqueta was excellent. Yeah, absolutely right.
JB don't like him.
Anyway,
see how we've been down as well. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then the team I want to talk about, just for the opposite reason, and then we'll quickly move on to our teams after that, is Brighton, because Brighton's fixtures go exceptionally bad, I would say. I think from 4 to 9 they have the worst run you can possibly have.
You hear him then, JB? Is that just me?
Was that he's breaking up a bit?
I think it's my internet.
Did I go bad?
I don't know if it's my internet or your internet. I don't know who's dropped it, but I couldn't hear you for about 10 seconds of your speech.
I heard Josh all right, but then you went a bit.
Oh, okay. It's my internet then. Ignore me.
Okay, yeah. So, JB, like, have you taken a look at these fixtures? I said Brighton's fixtures are bad, basically, Doyle, from week 4 onwards. And I think it's like they've just been so good in the first 2 weeks, and they've been so good for 2 seasons before this as well. Like, do we just trust that they're a good team, or would you be looking to jump off at all for these bad fixtures? Because it is quite a long run of bad fixtures.
It is a long run, and the fixtures ain't great. But I made a similar point last week when Doyle was sticking to his guns and said he didn't want to stoop in there. I think the players are still...
Which was correct, but
okay. So
they're not kept a clean sheet.
They're underpriced, So I don't mind holding them. If they were a lot more expensive, then I might have more of an issue with it. But when you're paying 5 million for a Stupinan who's scoring goals, bombing forward in the Baps, then you've got someone like Mitoma, who's one of the best players in the league, available at 6.5 million. And even throw in Solly Marsh at the moment. He must be absolutely buzzing after them 2 goals. He's got 3 goals in 2 now, is it? At 6.5 million. They're just so cheap. Specifically them 3, I'd say, and maybe even Steele in goal, although obviously against a better opposition, maybe not as many clean sheets. Wouldn't look at the strikers, but them 3 in particular, I wouldn't mind holding them at all because they're not breaking the bank.
Yeah, I think Steele will probably continue to get 0 clean sheets, but they're stupid and cheap. I think the Mitoma point's interesting because you could go to Mbumo JB like in the coming weeks. Surely that's going to be tempting when the fixtures are so good versus so bad.
I don't think the fixtures are that bad.
I mean, it's like
outside of City and Newcastle, and they have Newcastle obviously, but that's at home. I just don't think there's any really bad fixtures in the league. Like none of them really worry me about points potential, to be honest with you. Obviously, it's great if they've got Luton and Sheffield United and Everton, which are the clear targets. But
yeah, there's 3 tiers of fixtures, right? There's like the nut ones, which you said, Sheffield United, Luton, blah blah blah, Forest at home because they're abysmal away, things like that, right? Then there's a load of teams that are just in the middle bracket. There's like almost everybody, and then I think you've probably got like City are in a league of their own, and then you've maybe got like 2 or 3. Like Newcastle's pretty bad, like because they're good defensively.
I think everything else is a good fixture. Like Liverpool's a good fixture at the moment.
Arsenal are pretty good defensively. I'd put Arsenal in Newcastle's bracket.
I don't think they are very good defensively, to be honest with you. Like you watched them against Forest last week, and they got absolutely ripped apart on the break when Forest actually started to attack. And I don't think they're very good defensively. Arsenal, they just get away with it to keep the ball very well, obviously. And I think Forest are a bit scared of them this week, but it'd be interesting to see tonight.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Arsenal against Brighton. Take the Brighton example. Arsenal against Brighton would 100% play 2 central midfielders, which makes them more solid. Like they would play Partey and Rice. Against Forest, they basically didn't play a defender, and they had injuries and subs. It was a really interesting game. I think, but then Arsenal got battered by Brighton twice last year, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure.
I was going to jump in with that point.
Yeah, they got absolutely battered by a Stupinan on his own last year at the back end of the season. I remember. So yeah, I think Mitoma to Mbeumo will be tempting for a lot of people in the next few weeks. But
I completely get your point that Mbumo's got better fixtures. He's looking good, but to see anyone taking Mitoma out their team, there's better options elsewhere in your team, surely. Nobody's team's that good that you want to be taking Mitoma out your team. There's no chance. You're a fool. You're a fool, man.
We all have Bruno Fernandes, mate. We can't get rid of him.
I can't sell Bruno, Maddison, Richarlison, or
there is so many options. There is so many options.
Oh, I love it. I love this game. And we talked about this pre-season. I think there's 15 midfield options for 5 slots. Some of them have had better starts than others, but they're all still valid picks. Everyone we've said in week 1 isn't now suddenly a terrible pick.
We ain't seen the second game yet, but I even think Eze, another £6.5 million player, I don't know how he's going to do tonight, but still think he's a good option.
DRB as well, by the way.
DRB as well, yeah, another one. That's why I think that, for me, if you're making transfers, just cut down the budget. Just get the cheaper ones in as opposed to these Rashford and Bruno players. It's just... personally, that's what I'd do, and then I'd spend the money elsewhere if you can spend it. But it's all team dependent. So, for instance, I've got Haaland up front with 2 4.5 million strikers. So for me, now that will allow me to boost one of them up to maybe a Wissa or Jackson or something for the fixture run. So that's probably what I'm looking to do, I think. But that's only because in my specific spot I would do that. But other people might need an extra defender because they might have James or something like that, or a couple of injuries. Yeah, that's what I do.
This is a good segue, actually. Like, should we go on to your team, JB? Like what you plan to do this week? I think just because you were just talking about that, I guess. Doyle, do you have something to say on this before we finish?
I just wanted to chat very briefly about Man City.
Yeah.
Before we do anything, given they've got, what's the next 2 fixtures? Sheffield and Fulham. I think Fulham are really, really, really bad, by the way. I think they're really bad. But I think they've got, their team seems a bit settled. And it might be, scary. It's a bit scary to say that, given it's City. But Alvarez at 6'5", I've just had a look at that. Like, shit, I should not have gone Wissa in, because I should have just gone Alvarez in. Obviously Foden 7'5". I think they're sort of still going under the radar a little bit. I think it's because of that sort of, nervousness about City assets in general and rotation. But I mean, they look great options, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the reason why people are sleeping on it this week is because 5 of the top traditional top 6 this week have got nut fixtures, plus Brighton have got West Ham at home. Like, I think these are all, most of the
City
teams
have Sheffield away, mate.
That's what I mean.
Best team in the league by a mile.
But everyone has good fixtures, so I'm not going to sell Bruno Fernandes for Foden. You know what I mean? I'm just not going to do that. You might think that's a nut play, like an amazing play, but I don't think that's a good play, so I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? But like people really struggle to sell a player who's got a good fixture. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. Sure. I think. Yeah,
but I think people are making moves this week, right? People have.
If you got João Pedro,
bringing in people talking about bringing in Boomer, people talking about bringing in Mitoma, etc. And I think Foden's not that much more expensive, $1 million more.
Yeah, so if Maddison's injured this week, I'm getting Foden 100%, right? I think that's a give. I think if you've got João Pedro, you should be looking seriously at Alvarez as an alternative to Jackson or Wissa.
Yeah, I should be going Alvarez.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point, but I think you need the hole in your team to because I don't think many have got them at the moment, right? So you need the hole to bring one in. You know what I mean? And I think week 4 is more likely an entry point when the other teams have bad fixtures rather than week 3. I think so.
Yeah, and it's kind of a thing with City recently, the last year or so, really, where they don't really slaughter teams anymore. They just sort of, when they get that lead, they do kind of sit on it a little bit, and they just sort of, they're not the same team. They don't seem to be the same team that beat Team 7-8-0 a couple of years back. They seem to have been matured a little bit in a weird way, despite having Haaland. But
I think if a team goes 2-0 down against them, they know they're going to lose. And that team just thinks, right, well, let's not try and get beat 7-0. So they kind of sit back anyway.
Damage limitation.
Knock it about, keep possession.
They made Newcastle look absolutely childish on the weekend, didn't they? They absolutely they sent them back home after I think a few people were tipping Newcastle thinking they could do something there, and City were like, no. You're not in our league yet. I
think Foden's a really good pick, though. I must admit, I didn't mention him, but I think he's pretty nailed as you can get in the Man City team, which isn't 100%. It's probably about 60%, but he's as nailed as you can be with the injuries they've got now. Gundogan's gone, De Bruyne's injured, and Pep's really
looks great as well. Right?
He looks so good.
He looks fantastic.
And we've seen him play more centrally and on the wing, and he can play anywhere, really, can't he? So when
players are playing well under Pep, they keep playing. Like, he's not.
Yeah, he loves it.
He does rotate, but he doesn't rotate players that are in massive veins of form. He just runs them.
People have streaks at Man City, don't they? And you have to jump on early, and they play 5 or 6 games in a row, and you think they're going to get dropped, but they don't. And that's where
it is relatively predictable in that way. It is veins of form.
And you mentioned there too.
I say that he's going to get dropped now for sure. He's 100%.
He won't play the
weekend now. No
on
way.
the bench for Sheffield United.
Yeah, 100%.
But they got Sheffield United and Fulham the next 2. Then they got West Ham. But then the 2 after that is Nottingham Forest at home and Wolves, who look a bit pony as well. So I
feel like we should maybe have triple Man City in our teams.
Yeah, maybe that's
controversial state.
I've got Gvardiol and that's it. Well, and Haaland, I guess. Yeah, I'm nearly there.
I think we're good till week 5. Then Champions League kicks in, which is always the problem. Like, it always looks easy in the first 5 weeks with this team.
Yeah.
And then it's not easy when they're playing twice a week. It becomes very not easy. So we've got the next 3. So it's the 3 you. No,
their depth's not that.
No, but you'll see that just means there'll be max changes. The changes you expect will be the ones that sort of happen. Like, that might not be a good way to put it, but like, I think they'll just take it in turns to rotate, so it might even become less predictable. You know what I mean? Because like, they're just putting in Grealish obviously in Foden's position. That makes sense. Or like Bernardo comes back in once he's fit. You know what I mean? Because he hasn't been fit the last few games. Like, not fully anyway.
And looking at them fixtures as well, if they get Inter Milan or someone in the Champions League, they'll put out a good team for that. But then if they got Nottingham Forest at home at the weekend, that might be the game that he rests a couple of players and switches things around. So, Pep Roulette could come back to bite us.
That's what I'm saying. I think you got the next 3 games. If you're attacking this week or next week, and then you might be sort of getting a bit cold feet. I think once the Champions League kicks in, I think then it'll be back to everything we've seen before, because there is still enough options to rotate. They're so much thinner than they used to be, and it's probably like not 10 changes like it has been in the past, where we've seen like 8 changes or something. But it's probably still 3 or 4. You know what I mean? And it might be your guy that misses out. So yeah.
Yeah, it could be the easy fixtures actually that we're targeting the players for that don't end up playing in them games. So, but shall we move on to the game week preview?
Yeah, let's start with you as promised, JB. So do you want to talk us through what your plans are?
Yeah, sure. So my game week preview. So we got a dilemma in goal. It's not a dilemma who I'm going to start, but it's Pickford, absolute pony. How bad was he at the weekend? That right, was it a right hook though? Oh,
I don't think he actually touched him, to be fair. Pretty sure there was no contact whatsoever. But,
that was a thing of beauty though, wasn't it? Tyson Fury-esque, I thought. So yeah, he thinks he's boxing rather than playing football. So luckily they do have Wolves, who have had about 1 million shots on target in the last 2 games. So who knows how that's going to go, but I'm going to keep him for that. Everton's fixture is actually quite good, aren't they? Next couple of games. So despite if I did get some money from the midfield, like I said, with maybe Rashford or something, I could potentially be looking to upgrade Pickford to a better goalkeeper, maybe like Onana or someone with better fixtures. Or someone who's actually a goalkeeper as opposed to Jordan Pickford. But I can't really make a case for it with Everton's fixtures. It's not really a spot I'm too concerned about when you got Wolves at home. Who was it? Wolves and Sheffield United. So yeah, that's pretty much as good as you can get. We literally just said about them 2 being the easy fixtures. Chilwell on Friday night for Chelsea. Again, no concerns. He went off on 60 minutes. He's one of our main players, so he should be fine for Friday night. And then Man City, I've got Gvardiol, who I'm happy about. Bit of a differential at Sheffield United. As long as he starts, I'd expect a clean sheet. Sheffield United not look very good attacking wise. They had a bit of a wonder goal that beat Turner on Friday night. And yeah, I'll have Haaland up front. Pretty simple captain for me. Haaland at Sheffield United. I won't be looking to change that. There is a couple of good fixtures this weekend. So if someone did want to go against the grain, you can. I mean, Arsenal have got Fulham at home. Man United have got a good fixture against Forest. So if you was looking at someone like Saka or Rashford, by all means go for it. But yeah, for me, I think I'd stick with Haaland. So yeah, I'll have Saka and Rashford in them games anyway, but I won't be looking to captain them. Brighton got a good fixture against West Ham at home. They're on fire at the moment, so I'll have Mitoma and Estupinan for that. Salah will be in the team as well, away at Newcastle. That should be a really good game. Newcastle Liverpool always have good fixtures against each other. I'll have Richarlison. I'll probably give him another week away at Bournemouth. Really good fixture, so I don't think you can really be shipping any Tottenham players out with that game. So yeah, some really good fixtures. I think I wouldn't be too knee-jerk with transfers. I think with these fixtures coming up, you've got to give most of the players another week. Otherwise, you're just doing a hokey-cokey from one player to another player who's probably got a good fixture. On my team, 2 non-playing strikers and Botman to be on the bench. He's at home to Liverpool, so Liverpool really good attacking threat, so I don't mind benching Botman.
What's your transfer plan, JB?
Not 100% sure, to be honest. I've got 2 frees. So it's a bit of a luxurious position. There's not much I want to do. I think if I look at my team, I get to the point now where I'd like to upgrade one of the forwards. So I've only got 1 starting player on the bench. I think that's something that can help me. So I've made a case for it all the way through this, that downgrading Rashford to someone to get the money in the bank, and then I could get in a Wissa or a Jackson perhaps. Maybe looking at that, but then again, it's Rashford against Nottingham Forest, so what do you do? But if it's between that and burning a transfer with someone else who's got a good fixture, maybe I might do that. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Guess you got Gabriel as well. See if he starts tonight. Assume he will be.
Yeah, I think he's not starting, but we'll see.
Exclusive inside it.
He's broke the news. He's broke the news early doors. Let's upload this video now.
Someone just messaged me, so I think he's not starting.
Is it Arteta?
Yeah, his name's Mikel. If I was you, JB, I would do Mubama to Osula, and I would wait another week. Just because your team's too good. Your team's really good.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I might just set myself up. I might just bite the bullet, take out Rashford for someone, and then I've got money the next week to upgrade either Gabriel or one of the forwards. I'll see.
We do Pickford out as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a peripheral move's good. I think the keeper thing, you can make a case for selling Pickford because he's crap. I'm sort of immune to it because I played with Danny Ward and Iverson for most of last season, so I sort of don't care about my goalie. You know what I mean? I know they're going to be crap because I've got the same pairing as you at the moment, but I'm just going to stick with it, I think. Yeah, I think like Mubama to Osula, who actually starts, just makes sense, right? Like bringing in a 4-5 who actually starts, it gives you a second sub, you know what I mean? And then next week, maybe you could look at the time is just better next week, isn't it? To the Rashford and Jackson combo move next week or whatever. Like ideally, you'd want Jackson this week, but I don't think you want to lose Rashford this week. So it's really fun. It's a really fun spot for you.
Yeah, it's not too alarming. I mean, the team's looking fine, but it's going to be a decent move, whatever I do. It's like kind of like a good position to be in, I guess. So I'll have a think, see how tonight's game goes.
Yeah. So Doyle, we'll come to you next. You've done Pedro to Wissa, yeah?
Yeah, Pedro to Wissa done. No other changes. Haaland cap. Pretty simple, really. So it's Johnston, Tarko, Saliba, Henry, Foden, Matoma, Rashford, Salah, Bruno, Haaland cap, Wissa, and then Anderson on the bench as first put. And that's it.
Yeah, your bench is a little bit thin, I suppose, isn't it? Just like because you never want any of them to come on, I suppose, do you? Is the thing, but
got Archer.
Yeah, Archer's in now. Yeah, he'll be banned again soon, so that's fine. Kabore plays for the worst defense in the league. I don't know what's happened there, but to be fair, he was your captain last week, so you do have a bit of faith in him.
Yeah, he's captain fantastic. He rouses the troops from the bench. You know, he's that sort of character in the dressing room, sort of person you need in your team. So.
I really hope, by the way, Johnston for you gets a massive haul tonight because it'll just show it's just nonsense, the goalkeeper rotation thing, because you've got Dubravka instead of Turner, right? And if Johnston just gets the most random haul tonight against Arsenal, you're going to make us look like right mugs.
But you do, that's the thing with the keeper. That's why I hate rotating keepers, because they do get these massive hauls in the games you don't expect, because that's when they make the big save games, get free baps, that sort of thing. And Saka's crap at penalties, so he's probably going to save a Saka penalty, calling it first. Anyway, let's move to Josh without much time.
So you did the Dubravka thing on purpose, yeah? Just to confirm,
exactly.
You did that on purpose.
Yeah, I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, my team's a team of fixtures over form, we'll call it, right? Let's go back to the hot topic. Let's link it back. So I've got Pickford in goal, absolute crap. Then I've got a defensive Chilwell, Saliba, Estupinan, all got home games, all brilliant. So I'm happy with all of those. Maddison and Richarlison have got Bournemouth away. Bruno and Rashford have got Forest at home. Saka's got Fulham at home. I can't lose these guys. I just have to play them this week. And then I've got Haaland up front captain with Jackson, who's got Luton at home. I mean, I've got 2 free transfers. Luckily, I've got 2 injuries on the bench. Right. So I'm gonna downgrade Reece James. This is why I picked him at the start, so I'd have something to do in week 3. So Reece James down. Would like to know your guys' opinion. I've got about 5 names that I might bring in. I've got Rico Henry, Udogie, or Botman was the other one. One of them, I think, is who I'm going to bring in.
Vardiol, I'd say. We just went through them fixtures for Man City. I'm
not going to play him this week. He'd be on the bench this week. I'm not going to
bench him.
I don't want him on the bench. I don't want 10 points on the bench.
Great option.
No,
you've got loads of injuries. There's flags all over your team already.
Yeah, so I'll preface this by saying if Maddison's injured, I'll do Maddison to Foden, I think. Maybe Mbuemo I'd be tempted by, but we'll see on that one. If not, I'm doing James to a 4 point. What'd you say, Doyle?
I'm pretty sure he is injured, right? If he's in a protected boot, it doesn't sound good, does it?
I thought it was precautionary, to be honest. I was pretty confident. I saw a few things on Twitter to say it was, but...
Precautionary, but in a boot.
Yeah, precautionary. Let's put a big boot on, strap it up.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
precaution.
I maybe say water gingerly on it, mate. More likely, don't even too physical. Not stick a massive bloody medicinal boot around him.
No, he looks fine to me, mate. He's raring to go for the weekend. No, so I think Foden or Mbeumo would be a slightly interesting debate. Doyle would say Foden. I reckon. I'm
I
not
like
sure.
both of them. Both great. You do.
Yeah. And James, I'm definitely doing to a 4.5 because I want more options for next week with the money. I think the 1 million makes a difference when Botman, Udogie, and Henry have all got amazing fixtures in the next sort of 3-4 weeks. Like I'd rather have an extra 0.5, I think.
I think I'd go Gvardiol, but thinking long term, if you can get a plan in your head, do the 4.5 if you're going to spend the extra million. If you're not going to spend the extra million the week after, then maybe do Gvardiol. But either way, yeah, just make sure you're thinking a couple of weeks ahead, I think.
So what I said to you, JB, last week, and I'm going to try and stick by it. I might not, of course. I might do Estupinan out the week after because I think the fixtures are too bad. I'm not going to start this guy for like 5 of the next 6 weeks after week 3. I'm not going to start him. Honestly, I don't want like they're going to concede in most of those games. So I don't want him. He's not going to get an attacking return every week. He's got 3 and 2 so far. It's not sustainable. You know what I mean?
It's an actual joke. It's just unreal.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think he's gonna sustain at this level, but I wouldn't be going nowhere out of my team.
They can't keep it clean. They're actually crap. It's just a joke. The game's just stupid, man.
He'd be one of the first players on the team sheet, to be honest.
Yeah, so James, but I don't think you're going to be starting him, JB, in all the weeks coming up. I think you're going to look at it and going to be like, well, I have to play Chilwell, I have to play Gvardiol because they've got good fixtures, and then you're going to end up like playing like the likes of an Arsenal defender or sort of something, you know what I mean, whatever else you've got.
I'm not sure. I like him. I think I'm looking at him like a Trent when you just start him no matter who because he can get the attacking returns. I think their team is so attacking at the moment, and he links up with Mitoma on that wing. He's overlapping.
He makes those sideways passes from
sideways
the halfway line. Great assist, huge assist.
But you saw the goal a couple of minutes later. He's bombing inside the middle of the pitch in the penalty spot, slotting it in. I mean, that's what you want from your striker. Exactly.
I chose not to see
from your left back. Oof.
He is similar to Trent in the sense that he's shit defensively, but I'm not sure about the rest. He's obviously very attacking. Some fortunate returns so far.
He's only going up in value as well. I mean, he's 5.2 now. So
for now, 60% at home, mate. What's going to happen when he starts conceding every week and doesn't get an attacking return? That value is going to go.
Not having it. He started at 5. He went 5.1. He's 5.2. He's trending up.
I would prop that he is below his original price by Christmas. Would be my bet. But
that's when Doyle's like 7 million in the world, and he's sitting on 120 points or something. Stupid.
Probably, yeah. But I reckon he's going to blank for quite a lot of weeks. His ownership will go from 60% down to 10%, and with that, he'll have about 4 price drops because that's how the game works.
It depends how long his run goes on for. If he has 6 weeks of returns, let's say that happens, people will keep him for the rest of the season. We saw it with Trippier last year. They just everyone just stuck there, just stayed with it. Because if it happens for a long time, people just think, oh, it's going to keep happening, it's fine. And they sort of allow him to have blanks, you know what I mean? They sort of justify the blanks. So it's like psychological thing, but it's really interesting. If he blanks the next 3, you'll be right, Doyle, 100%. He'll be at lower starting price than he starts the season, but by Christmas or something like that.
We will see.
Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. Doyle's got a big meeting apparently, so I think he needs to run away and do that. So
yeah. You don't say that live on Josh. Come on.
Yeah, I know. It goes out later. They'll think you're working after hours, mate. It's fine. Yeah. So what do I normally say? That's the question we need to ask ourselves.
I was wondering if you was going to say it. I was trying not to do it because normally I have to say it and then you have to say it. I was thinking, does he actually remember this time? Does he know what to say?
In my head, I need the process to happen. I need someone to remind myself, whether it's me or one of you guys, and then I just say it. So all in FPL on X/Twitter. I still like to call it Twitter. Also, All in FPL on YouTube. If you type in All in FPL separate words, it'll come up with our channel. Please subscribe to that because we're obviously trying to put out 1 or 2 videos a week. So we really want you guys to see them when they come out. early in the week, one at the end of the week. So yeah, and then please follow us on Twitter as well, as I alluded to before. Thank you very much, guys.
See you guys.
Yes, guys.
Bye.
Bye.